teacher. Hi, students. Today I'm going to talk about the gender equality. First, main women who promoted feminism in Ecuador. Ana Peralta. She led a large protest to demand the Spanish provisions prohibiting the wearing of indigenous or Spanish clothing to mestizos. Manuela Sáenz. Known as the liberator of the liberator, she participated in the independence process and defended the love she felt for Simón Bolívar. Tránsito Amaguaña. A woman indigenous, illiterate, abused, and mired in poverty, who together with Dolores Cacuango led the first workers' strike in Olmedo. Marieta de Vintimilla. Thinker and writer, she is considered the symbol of the feminist movement of Ecuador. Mariana de Jesús, the first Ecuadorian saint and who also offered her life as a sacrifice to stop the epidemics and earthquakes that we are happening in Quito. Rosa Cabeza de Vaca. She applied for enrollment at Colegio Mejía, when at that time only men studied there. Ermelinda Urbina. In 1932, she obtained her license as an aviator pilot in the United States. She was the first South American to obtain this title. Matilde Hidalgo de Procel, the first woman who claimed and registered to exercise her right to vote, when that was only a right granted to men. Her vote is the first female suffrage in the country. Maria Zúñiga. After successfully integrating women into high school and reaching high school, this young woman was the first woman to graduate a doctor. Manuel Espejo was a feminist leader with whom she shared the enlightened thinking and independence ideals of her brother Eugenio Espejo. Now let's go to talk about the waves of feminism. First wave of feminism. It appears in the middle of the 18th century. A group of European writers and thinkers launched ideas about the nature of women, questioning the hierarchy of the sexes and point out the lack of coherence in the French slogan of liberty, equality, and fraternity. Male privilege were questioned, arguing that the biology of women makes them suitable for the same as men. This stage served to demand equal civil rights, including those to work and to receive a dignified education. Second wave of feminism. Born in the early 1960s to late 1980s, the most important event of this wave was the right to vote, which gradually spread throughout the world. Other important achievements such as the right to own property, the right to paid work, and the right to receive an education. Women being to have visibility in society, clothing and aesthetic fashion emerge. They live on their own account and occupy jobs that have historically belonged to men. Third wave of feminism. It was born in the 60s as a consequence of the more progressive mentalities that were beginning to flourish in Europe. Women rebelled against the more traditional and archaic morals and ethics of society. Some protection measures against gender violence, penalty against violations, and protection against unfair decisions during pregnancy began. Fourth wave of feminism. The transmission between the third and fourth waves is not very clear, as the boundaries are very fuzzy. Some authors consider that we are still in the third wave. It is usually considered as the most modern stage of the feminist movement. It seeks to promote the ideals of equality by making use of the resource of the digital age. The end of the gender privilege that historically had been established for men is proposed. Then we have the types of feminism. First, radical feminism. It emerged in the 60s and it is based on the idea of reviewing political, social, and economic structures since that is where the entire system that oppresses women originates. It is in this type of feminism that the term patriarchy is used. Black feminism promote equal rights for black women. It arose a result of the struggle for the civil rights of the Afro-American population in the 60s. Currently, they fight for discriminate women in general. Third, Marxist feminism. It suggests that the oppression of women comes from the capitalist system, driven in turn by patriarchy. Both factors generate social and economic consequences that discriminate against women and prevent their access to the same rights as men. These are just a few of the many types of feminism that exist today. Gender equity seeks to provide men and women with the same opportunities, conditions, and forms of treatment, eradicating all kinds of violence for both genders. Thank you. Now let's go to the questions.
Do you think that gender equality already exists?
In legal terms, there is already equality since men and women have the same rights, but in society there is still machismo, but little by little it is being eliminated.
Ever. Which wave of feminists caught your eye the most?
The feminist wave that most caught my attention was the first. Since being the first, they had to leave a lot of courage and strength to try to change the way women were seen at that time.
What is your opinion on feminism?
I think it was necessary, since at that time women didn't even have the possibility to vote.
Which woman did you find the most relevant?
Tránsito Maguaña, since she was a very poor and indigenous woman, but she knew how to raise her voice. Thanks.